everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of the Rock is George podcast. You can check out past episodes of the Rock is George podcast at anchor.fm/rockisgeorge or at rockisgeorge.com. Be sure to like our Facebook page. I'm your host, George Dion. You can check out some of my other work with heavy metal bands at metalexpressradio.com. I have another great interview for you today. It's with the frontman of the Swedish band Eclipse. Eclipse plays what's described as melodic rock, not a big genre here in the States, but it's huge in Europe, also known as adult-oriented rock, or AOR. Eclipse was formed in 1999. They released several albums on a smaller label before signing with Frontiers Music in 2004. Under the Frontiers label, their music really started to grow. The band started to get bigger, started to build more of a following. In 2015, they released their album Armageddonize. In 2017, Monumentum. In 2019, Paradigm. It's Paradigm. All these albums got high reviews. And not just at one site. They got really good reviews. The website that covers melodic rock the most is called melodicrock.com. That's where I first found out about Eclipse. Andrew McNeese has been doing melodicrock.com for decades. It's where I discovered some of the greatest bands over in Europe. Andrew's based out of Australia, but he's been a melodic rock fan for a long time. Getting back to Eclipse, last year they released Viva La Victoria, their first live release, and that's where I really got into Eclipse. I discovered them at melodicrock.com, but there was something about the studio albums that didn't click with me. But once I heard the songs performed live on Viva La Victoria, I had an all-new appreciation for Eclipse. Next month, they're going to be releasing their latest studio album called Wired. It's going to be on October 8th, 2021. I spoke with the frontman of Eclipse, Erik Mårtensson. He juggles a couple of side projects he's got one with Jeff Scott Soto and Robert Saul of Work of Art called W.E.T. He's got a side project with Augie Stein Nelson from Wigwam. Their project together is called Ammunition. And he has another side project with Ronnie Atkins of Pretty Maids called Nordic Union. We talk about Eclipse, we talk about the new album Wired, we talk about his side projects. So without further delay, here's Erik Mårtensson of Eclipse. All right, I ask everybody the same question to start off. If I knew absolutely nothing about Eclipse, how would you describe the band's music to me?
I'd say heavy melodic rock. With it, it's if you're into heavy guitar riffs combined with great melodies, we're the band for you.
There you go. I definitely put you in the AOR melodic rock category myself. Yeah. Is that a big genre over in Sweden?
No, it's not a big genre anywhere, I think.
Definitely not America. America gave up on it in like 1992.
Yeah, well, I think the stronghold for heavy metal and melodic rock and everything is in Europe nowadays. It's really a lot of bands here and so many festivals, and we draw decent crowds everywhere we go in Europe.
Absolutely. I've talked to so many great Swedish melodic rock, AOR guys kind of keeping the stuff alive. I mean, that's the stuff that appeals to my age group, which is 40 to 50. And probably people in their 30s, and obviously you got to be in that age group somewhere. So it's kind of the music you grew up loving, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually fun to see because on Spotify you can really see what age group are listening to, because you can see who is the owner to the accounts, and it's like 60% is under 34 years old. So
that's actually
the majority is younger, yeah, which is kind of surprising. It is. So yeah. There is a new generation of hard rockers. It's still happening.
So your new album is Wired. It comes out October 8th. 2021. Let's talk a little bit about the singles. One of the singles that you put out is Saturday Night Hallelujah. You don't complicate things. It's a nice, simple song.
Yeah, it's for me the craft of writing good songs is to write them as simple as possible. It's super easy to write complicated songs that are 10 minutes long and contains a lot of riffs and strange stuff. That's super easy. You can just pile stuff on top of each other. I think the hard part of writing songs is it's like make it as simple as possible. I think that's for me that's the hard work.
Is there a story behind the song? Is there a particular Saturday night that kind of clicked with you that said, I got to write this down?
No, it was just a vibe. That was one of those songs that, it wrote itself, almost wrote it by itself. I think we had the main skits of the whole song in 15 minutes. It just came out. It was every part just naturally came out after each other. And the whole vibe, the whole song just screams party and, good times and, no worries in life, kind of.
Absolutely.
So it felt like the perfect song for a post-COVID world.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. We kind of need that party and that have a good time stuff right now.
Yeah.
Another single you released is Bite the Bullet. Is there a story behind that song?
The writing story is that it was just a week before we should start recording the album, like in the studio for real recording, put in mics and stuff and just start with the actual thing. And I came up with this song and I just sent it to the guys because it's a very old school kind of almost heavy metal kind of guitar riffing like Accept or Judas Priest or in that kind of vibe. But of course with the melodies of Eclipse. And I sent it to the guys. And I was like, I think I just wrote a really cool old school heavy metal song. What do you think? And everyone liked it. And so we just decided instantly to record it, which was fun because it ended up being a single as well.
Excellent. The third single that's out is Twilight. I don't know if you have a story behind that one.
Well, yeah. The story is Magnus Henriksson, the guitar player, and myself wrote it in the studio. I had the riff and the verses. I had them previously. I'd done it before, and Magnus came in and he really liked it. So we started working on the whole thing, and it was just super up tempo. It's almost got a punk rock attitude in it in a way, but very melodic. But it's so packed with energy. It just never stops. It's like a runaway train, and it's like it just continues. The energy just keeps going from first chord till the last note, and we added those Beethoven melodies in the end also, as a joke almost in the demo recordings, and we just laughed. We thought it was super fun, so we kept it for the record.
I'm glad that you pointed out that was Beethoven because I was listening to it. I'm like, I know this.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. I know this, but I don't know where I know it from.
Yeah, it is. People have said, is it a child song or is it a Christmas song? And some people have said, it's Beethoven, of course. They knew it, but
I think that Trans-Siberian Orchestra uses that in a Christmas song too. So I think that's why the Christmas connection.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's fun. If we laugh at it, I guess other people will laugh at it as well, or at least it's a fun thing. We don't take it too seriously. It's a nice song.
So you have a couple of different formats that this album's coming on. It's going to be on CD. It's going to be streaming. It's vinyl. It's cassette. And
cassette, yeah.
Is this the first time you guys have done a cassette?
Yeah, first time. It's the first time in the label history as well. So it's no one thought that anyone was going to buy it, but it's already sold out on the Frontiers Records, their European shop.
That's great. I don't even know where you would buy a cassette player.
No, I'm in my studio right now and actually have an old 80s boombox, which it looks gorgeous, of course. And it's so I got the album. I got all the albums yesterday. So the first thing I wanted to listen to was, of course, the cassette. Because it's got I listened to the whole album on cassette, and it's got lyrics and pictures, the whole thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I just recently got into the vinyl portion of things, so it's nice to kind of have a physical copy of something in your hand rather than just streaming, I think. And you've kind of put a little surprise in for people. You get the bonus track on the vinyl, so you got that. You got a song that's exclusive to the CD and the digital, so kind of fans can kind of have a piece of it all.
Yeah, and we changed the running order for the vinyl as well, because you listen very differently when you listen to streaming and when you listen to vinyl. It's a very different experience and mood how you listen to. Because when you put on the vinyl, you pay attention to the music, because you put on the vinyl and just, now I'm gonna listen to music. But a lot of streaming listening is more in the background. People don't really, the vacuum clean and listen to music kind of. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Your last few studio albums, they've gotten high ratings. Particularly, I discovered you through melodicrock.com, and
Yeah, cool.
your albums get great ratings almost everywhere. Is there any pressure to kind of do one better when you make the next album?
I always want to make a better record. I think we always improve as songwriters. They sound different, and I really believe the best Eclipse album is not done yet. That is in the future. I really believe that. And the pressure, I think the worst critics in the world is the band itself. I'm super hard on myself when it comes to songwriting and musicianship and the whole thing, productions and stuff. So I think if it passes through us, it's probably gonna be cut it, I guess.
Perfect. You're planning an album release party the day after the album comes out?
Yeah, that was in Switzerland.
What's that show gonna? It's just gonna be a small local show?
No, it's actually quite a big venue. So hopefully people will show up. Yeah, and it's a super nice venue called Z7, like Z7 in the Pratten in Switzerland. It's really nice, and it got great catering as well.
That's the important part, is the food.
Yeah, of course.
You guys have returned to the stage since the COVID lockdowns. You guys played the Alcatraz Festival. What was it like getting back out on the stages for the first time after being locked up for so long?
It was fantastic. I was actually super nervous. Even like a month in advance, I was just thinking about doing a gig again. I was like, I got butterflies in my stomach, because it's been 17 months prior to that since we did the last show, which is unbelievably long for a. But when we walked out on stage, she was like, we're back again, and we know this. So it was really fun, and I think the best part was actually seeing all those people having a good time together. It's not about the music; it's like seeing people standing together, drinking beer, talking, laughing, hanging out in bars. I haven't seen that in such a long time, and it was really fun to see it again.
Absolutely. And I mean, music drives the world anyway, whether people realize it or not. It's the soundtrack to your lives.
It is.
You remember those things in your life based on the songs. The song comes on the radio or you stream it, and you're like, you remember the time when you first heard that song, or you remember what you were doing and stuff like that. And that's kind of what the world was deprived of for a year and a half.
Yeah. And it's, I think as soon as people will get out and go to concerts and theaters and movies or whatever, it's gonna be like, I think they're gonna really feel it. I think they can think about, I really want to go to a concert, but when they're actually gonna be at the concert, they're gonna like really fundamentally realize that how much they have missed it.
Absolutely.
Because that was how I felt when I was there. It was almost like brought tears to my eyes to see this happening again.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Do you have any tour plans after the album's released? I noticed that you had to cancel a show here in North America and postpone it to another year. Do you have anything else on the books?
Yeah, we have Scandinavian dates coming up. We got some German dates coming up as well. And hopefully we'll, in beginning of next year, we will have a proper European tour. We have the Monster of Rock cruise that's going from, I think it's departing from Florida somewhere. In I think it's February next year. So hopefully we can do some more American dates as well while we're there.
That'd be great. Unfortunately, I live in a spot where we don't get this kind of music. I live in New England. I live in Massachusetts, so we don't get a lot of melodic rock guys. I mean, sometimes someone will trickle through, like Jeff Scott Soto will play a bar in the area because Trans-Siberian Orchestra's in the area or something like that. But we don't get
Yeah,
a lot of the festivals.
yeah, you don't. I know it's a big country. You can just it's not like you can tour Sweden if you got a car and you're willing to drive. But if just do an American tour, it's it's a bit of an thing to take
Absolutely.
on. Yeah.
Hey guys, Rock is George here, breaking in with the Rock is George podcast whiskey break. Today I have kind of a unique batch. It's from Brew Custom Whiskey. Brew's thing kinda is, instead of using traditional methods of wood aging, they use scientific methods of wood aging. The batch I have in my hand is called Deckhand. It's to honor the hard-working men and women from the creator's hometown of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Deckhand is a 5-wood rye whiskey. It's made up of New Hampshire oak, 200-year oak, European oak, maple, and cherry oak. Once again, I'm not sure, looking at their website, whether these actually sat in a barrel of some type or whether they use some sort of scientific method to impart the wood flavors, which their website kind of indicates that's what they do. They have a trademark system. They describe the notes, tasting notes, as dried cherry, currant, and honey on the nose, cardamom, black pepper, vanilla, so this could be a little spicy, cherry cola and honey, lots of different flavors there going on. Let's give it a try. Okay, the first thing that comes through is all the wood. All the wood comes through in the tasting of this, and it's really good if you like that oaky flavor. I think just the regular oak is coming through, maybe a little bit of the cherry wood. I've had a lot of whiskey, so I can kind of tell the different kind of wood things there. I don't know about the 200-year-old oak. I've never had that before, but it definitely has caramel notes, citrusy notes. It's a good sipper. It tastes a little young. Typically whiskey is aged 2 years. I'm not sure this has been aged 2 years. It does kind of have a young taste to it. And I can't really describe what that means, but the more whiskey you drink, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's fairly inexpensive. I bought it at a New Hampshire state liquor store. I don't know if it's sold in any other places, but it was reasonably priced, and it's a pretty good bourbon and pretty funky that science put this one together. So let's get back to the interview with Erik Mårtensson of Eclipse. So on your Facebook page, it looks like you guys have a beer coming out to kind of coincide with the release of the album.
Yeah, that's it's a really fun thing. The whole thing started out as a mistake. Someone read a wrong thing in a mail, and all of a sudden we were starting to make our own beer, which was super fun. And I'm a beer nerd myself, and my brother is also a brewer, so I know a lot about how to brew beer. So I actually been working closely together with the brewery with the beer. So it's a hoppy lager.
Awesome. Not a lot of places making lagers. Everybody's doing ales because they're quick and easy, but it takes some special time to make a lager. I used to homebrew, so that was one of the ones I couldn't do.
Lagers are super hard to make, even if there's a professional brewery, but if there's smaller scales, it's really hard with the lagers. Yeah, as you know, it's almost like an industrial product almost. It's hard to do.
Absolutely, because they're trying to maintain the temperatures and all that stuff, and it's very cold and all that other stuff. What is the brewery you're collaborating with?
It's called the Beer Company. It's a small brewery, not far from where I live.
Oh, good.
So it's small batches. It's only for Sweden at the moment, but let's see what happens when we go on tour. We can bring a caravan full of wired lager.
That'd be awesome. And then you got to go and make your own whiskey because everybody else is doing whiskey now too.
Yeah, they are. But I'm not a big fan of whiskey. Maybe someone else in the band can take that.
There you go.
For the team. Yeah.
It wasn't long ago before you guys released your first live album, Viva La Victoria. That came out in November of last year. That was kind of the album that did it for me for you guys. on a
Oh, cool.
personal level. Like I heard your studio albums and it was just something that wasn't clicking to me. But when I heard the live album and I heard these songs, I'm like, man, these guys are really good. Every song here is really good. I think that there's something about the live environment that kind of makes people open their eyes and ears a little more with a band.
Yeah, I've heard it many times, and I think the new album actually is closer to the closer to the live experience than the previous records are. It's got that energy because we are we're a hardworking live band. We play like each night as it's our last, and it's a lot of energy on stage. We always have to give it all, and it's more raw, but the melodies, I think also the kind of the simple songwriting helps in a live situation because you can really follow the songs live.
Absolutely, and you could be singing along right on that night when you first heard the song for the first
Yeah,
time.
yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, so live is of course a super important promotional tool for the band because that's the best experience of the music.
I'd have to agree, and it's great that you guys are back out there live. You
Yeah.
have a couple other projects that you're kind of juggling with Eclipse. You released an album with W.E.T, which is Jeff Scott Soto, Robert
Yeah, yeah.
Sale from Work of Art, and yourself. Retransmission. That was another fantastic album. Do you write songs specifically for, let's say, I wrote this. This seems like more like Eclipse. I wrote this. This seems more like WET.
That happens, of course. So when I'm writing wet songs, I can of course write a song and this feels like an Eclipse song, and I put it aside. But usually I'm focusing on just one thing at a time. When it's time for Eclipse, that's the only thing we write. Yes, it's just Eclipse 100%. So it's otherwise you will if you just writing for everything at once. I think everything will just be a mess. I think you need to have like a somewhere to put your kind of the inspiration and all the creativity has to have a focus point somewhere. So you like the goal where we're trying to aim. So that's how the whole process for me. But but when I'm writing for, let's say, wet, I think the criteria for a good wet song is that it's just a good melodic song, is nothing else. But with Eclipse, it has much more criteria. It should actually sound Eclipse a lot. That's very important. It should have a distinctive Eclipse sound, and there should always be something new and something fresh that we bring to the table as us as songwriters, because we always want to develop the band. So even if you have a great song, we don't record it because it just doesn't give anything new to the band.
If there was probably a good thing about being locked down, it was that you had a little more time to kind of work on these projects and give it, as much time as it needed to kind of come into fruition. So, I mean, you had the Wet album, you had the Eclipse live album, you have the new Eclipse album. So, was that something that you benefited from with the lockdowns as far as creating new music and projects and whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. It gave us, of course, more time, and more time means, more time to write songs, of course. But still, the kind of the period when we started writing the songs for that record, like really started, like now it's time to, do all the songs, and it's kind of the same period of time we have for every album. We just have a couple of months, or maybe four months. We like have not that we sit down every day and write Eclipse songs, but we have a restricted amount of time to write a record. I don't want to spend several years at writing a record because number one, I don't think it will be better, and I think it's also fun with records that it's a kind of a stamp on where the band and where we are as writers right now, and you can just follow. Yeah, it's like a memory in time, like a diary.
Right.
Yeah.
You also have a project with Augie Stein Nielsen of Wigwam called Ammunition. It's been a little while since the last Ammunition album. Is there going to be another one?
Not sure. We haven't spoken about it, so I think it's in the freezer at the moment.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. Speaking of the freezer, how about Nordic Union with Ronnie Atkins of Pretty Maids?
Yeah, we have started talking about making new records, so that might happen in the near future. Ron is one of my favorite singers. I really love Ron's voice, and he's been very ill with cancer.
Right.
Which is, yeah. So, but hopefully, I talked to him not long ago, and he's feeling really good at the moment. So
So
fingers
with
crossed he will be with us for a very long time.
so with these multiple projects, well, specifically Eclipse and W.E.T, is it possible to tour with W.E.T? I know you did a couple of shows in the past. Is it possible to kind of hit back the live shows again and balance these two bands into putting on live performances?
Yeah, it would be possible, but Jeff, he is when it's not a pandemic, he is constantly on tour with Sons of Apollo or Trans-Siberian Orchestra or his solo band. So it's to getting the schedules together with Eclipse, which is we are touring quite a lot as well. So getting our schedule working together is not as easy as it seems, and it's also, as we are in Sweden, we can do shows in Europe, just one show a weekend or two, just do a couple of one-offs. But with Jeff, he's had to fly all the way from LA to Europe. It's just a costly, and takes a lot of time for him.
Right.
Yeah.
You also have your own recording studio. Is it Mass Destruction Productions?
Yeah, correct.
And you work on other Frontiers releases there. Do you serve more as a mixer masterer, or do you produce these other albums? I know you worked on Toby Hitchcock and First Signal and kind of the old Jimmy Jameson of Survivor albums.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Well, I'm not doing much Frontiers work except for the three bands I have though.
Right.
But I do a lot of mixing and mastering for other bands and artists as well. So it's everything from pop music to death metal. Really.
That's a good.
It's my full-time job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you working on any other musical projects besides Eclipse right now?
Yeah, right now it's a lot of mixing for different. Today I mix a Swedish female pop vocalist, and I have a Norwegian sleaze band I'm gonna record and produce coming up called the Cruel Intentions. Pretty cool band. Not a big band, but they're really good.
Yeah, they could be one day, right? Everybody's got a shot these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any new? Have you even discussed new music for W.E.T?
Not at the moment. We haven't. Well, we have discussed it. I chatted to Jeff was it a week ago or something like that. But we just recently put out the retransmission record, so I think the fans need to wait a little longer.
There you go.
Yeah.
When you do an Eclipse record or stuff like that, does Frontiers get involved at all? I know some artists, they oversee them. Other artists, they just let them have free reign.
We have complete artistic freedom with everything. So they just trust that we do this, the right choices and the right songs, and they are super happy with that. We haven't never had problems with that at all. Maybe other bands where they are more involved, when it is their own project, they can be more picky and want to, make decisions on which way to go. But for my projects, with the same thing for Nordic Union and W.E.T, we have like free artistic freedom.
When you do these particular collaborations with Ronnie Atkins or Jeff Scott Soto or any of the other artists that are kind of Frontiers artists, is that something that is driven by you and the other artists, or does Frontier sometimes say, hey, Jeff Scott Soto is looking for another project. Do you want to work on him with this? Or Ronnie Atkins is looking for something beyond his solo album. Is that how it happens?
Well, with Ron, yeah, both has been proposed already back in 2008 was the first proposal to write a song together with Jeff Scott Soto, which for me was a dream come true. He was a hero from my childhood. So I was super excited. And when it's just, then later it felt like a band and we turned into W.E.T. But with Ronnie Atkins, it was kind of the same. Frontiers asked me, I said no to many different singers that I can't do too many projects. I don't like doing too many of them. But then when they approached me, Ronnie Atkins was also the same thing. I was like, this I cannot say no to. It's just I gotta do it. And I had a very good relationship together with Ronnie, making the 2 records we have. And I'm looking forward. Hopefully, we can do that 3rd one.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about just doing a solo Erik Mårtensson album?
Not really. I'm more of the band. I like to be a member in a band.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's the best, it's the best to have a band. It's friends hanging out and doing good music together.
Absolutely. And your band Eclipse is killing it on the new album Wired. I love it. It's a great
wonderful
album. It stands up there with your last couple albums, and it's got the melodies, it's got the melodic vocals, it's got the easy to sing along with vibe to it. I think you're going to do really well on it.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, it's got all the ingredients I like. Short songs, catchy choruses. That's, what more can you ask for? A cold beer. We got that too.
You got that too. That's right. Well, that's all I got for you today, Erik. Thanks for coming on the Rock is George podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being in.
That was Erik Mårtensson of Eclipse. Be sure to check out their new album Wired, being released on October 8th. This podcast may be up by then. It may be coming later than then. So they got some singles out. You can check them out if the album hasn't dropped yet. I want to thank Erik Mårtensson once again for appearing on the Rock is George podcast. I want to thank John Freeman Promotions and Frontiers Music for making it all possible. Check out their website, eclipsemania.com. They have different configurations for their latest release on their website. You can get it at the Frontiers shop, different configurations, both in Europe and USA. You've been great. I've been George Dion. I'll see you again soon.